Hi everyone, my name is John Bay. I am the CEO of Standard Uranium. Joining me today on this podcast and video is Sean Hillacre. He is our President and VP of Exploration.
John, Sean, good to see you. Right, you better news out today. You're raising some money, and I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about what for. So maybe kind of run through that the private placement numbers, John.
Yeah, for sure. So we announced a capital raise last week of 3.5 million Canadian. Those funds are going to our Davidson River project. We're going back to Davidson River to drill that once again. It's been since 2022. We've got some exciting new technology we're going to be talking about today with Sean Hillacre here, and getting people excited to be drilling Davidson once again.
Right, and maybe get into the kind of the terms around the financing as well. What are we going to get?
Yeah, so it's a combination of hard dollars and flow-through dollars. So the hard dollars is at 8 cents, and the flow-through shares are at 10 cents. Those are units, and you get a 24-month half warrant with that.
Okay, fine. And this is, you're saying, right, you're talking about Davidson River. Is it 100% on that, or some of the other projects? Because you've got that portfolio approach, and your business model is slightly unusual in that sense.
So we have a project generator model, as you're alluding to there. So the funds from those projects pay for themselves, and they pay for lots of other things as well. So the capital we're raising right now, this is all going to Davidson River. A project we just finished doing some multi-physics, which Sean's going to talk about, and then heading into our drill program, which is the exciting part for everyone.
Okay, and is this brokered or non-brokered?
This is non-brokered, yeah.
Okay. Do you think the market's going to change, and this is what companies need to do now?
Non-brokered? I think we're seeing a lot of junior exploration companies doing non-brokered. I mean, it's very rare for a junior to have a bank come in and do a bought deal for companies of our size. So non-brokered is usually the way to go, and then the brokers still get paid their fees if they bring clients in. So it works for most people. Okay,
raising some money, getting up to Davidson River. So we better talk about Davidson River and what you're going to be doing this year. So tell me how you want to take that away, because I'm intrigued in what you're going to be focused on, and I'll jump in with questions.
Yeah, so first of all, for those people who are new to the Standard Uranium story, we started this company back in 2017. We've built the company around Davidson River. It's our flagship, and it's our flagship for a reason. We're going to get into that. It sits in the southwest corner of the Athabasca Basin. The southwest corner is a very exciting spot in the basin right now. If you look on a map, which we're going to post here, you can see our project in the bottom left side there. It's a massive project, and just to our east, about 25 kilometers to the east, you have NextGen's Arrow deposit, which, if you're following that story, that's going to be fully permitted, and a mine and a mill are going to start construction early 2026. Just to the west of that is Paladin's Triple R. Paladin took out fission uranium last year, and between those two projects alone, there's almost 500 million pounds of uranium in this region. So that's pretty exciting. For us, our main goal with our Davidson River project is to duplicate what they did on their projects, 25 kilometers to the west. And we've been working on this project for several years, but we've just got some new technical data that we've been working on since 2022, which is going to lead to fantastic targeting, which Sean Hillacre is going to get into, what we've done, who we've done it with, and what we're going to do for this drill program coming up. So let's get into that.
Let's get into okay. So we're talking about exosphere multi-physics surveying, right? It's quite the mouthful. I just wonder if you can sort of deconstruct that for us, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, in principle, it's a pretty simple concept. Multi, meaning multiple, and physics, geophysics, right? So multi-physics just means 3 different types of geophysics at once. That's what we did here. So we did 3 grids across 3 of the 4 main conductors on the project. If I flip to the next map here, you can see the Davidson River project, and you can see those main trends that are on the project there. So we covered off 3 different areas on the project with this type of survey, and we did 2 types of passive seismic. Seismic is popular in oil and gas, copper porphyries. So it's not a new technology, but it's new in this application, Matt, right? So that's kind of the thing that this company that we partnered with, Fleet Space, has kind of been getting into the mineral exploration game and kind of shaking things up in the Athabasca Basin by applying this technology for uranium deposits in this area. So not only that, but we added on the 3rd type of geophysics, which is gravity. Gravity is like the real game changer here for us, because what that does is essentially identifies where along these trends we want to drill. So a drill hole is 2.5 inches wide, right, Matt? And we've got 70 kilometers of prospective strike length on this project. It's almost 31,000 hectares. We've got a lot of room. You could fit multiple uranium deposits on this project, ideally, right? They're pearls on a string along these conductor corridors, everybody in the biz likes to say, right? So how do we vector into a major discovery, and how do we identify these arrow type targets? And this is the key that is really kind of unlocking that for us.
Can I just ask, I'm sorry, I want to kind of go back to, like, there's a lot of historic data on this as well. Does the South-South multiphysics survey process incorporate that?
Absolutely. So it really refines things for us. So looking on this map here, the whole takeaway from this project is, like John said, we want to copy and paste what happened over here at NextGen. I worked at NextGen for 7 years. I wrote my master's on the Arrow deposit. So in this area, the rocks are actually folded over from where there's 400 million pounds of world-class uranium up through to the northwest, right through our project. So we're in the same rocks, we have the same trends, and based on what we've done so far, looking at this slide, like you said, we've got historical data. We are the only ones to ever drill this or explore for uranium in this area. So until we got our hands on it in 2020, there was only one drill hole from Oil Sands Quest, I think, back in the 70s for oil. But we were the first ones to look at this thing for uranium. So based on our best drilling results today, we every time we went back between 2020 and 2022, we had better and better results, and we picked the areas to do the multiphysics based on our best drilling results to date. Now, when we first came here, like I said, we're basically looking at a geological mirror image to Arrow and Triple R and those same Patterson Lake corridor deposits. So the first thing to do was to go drill this thing, do some geophysics, and see, do we have the same rock types? Do we have the same structures or the plumbing system, those conductors, those trends that feed the uranium? And do we have uranium fertility? So we've checked all those boxes. We've got the same types of host rocks. We've got the same graphitic conductors and faults that you see at Arrow. I ought to know, I was there. These rocks on this slide here show that. That's what they look like over on the Patterson Lake corridor. And then we've got elevated uranium that's 5 or 6 times background. So we looked at the geochemistry. We know that uranium has been moving through these structures, but now it's just a matter of where do we target the next drill hole. So that's what the multiphysics unlocks. So you can see where we've done those 3 surveys on this map here.
Okay, I guess what I'm intrigued by is getting in terms of the probability weighted outcome of this program. Am I buying into you finding a discovery hole or vectoring towards mineralization, or is this just more technical de-risking? What are we trying to achieve here?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's technical de-risking because, like I said, we've identified these conductors. We've got the plumbing system, right? That's an important step. But where along, every conductor doesn't host a uranium deposit. So de-risking it through doing this and finding these gravity lows that represent, those alteration halos around uranium deposits, that is how we found Arrow at NextGen, right? That is how the team there picked that target and drilled it and hit. So it was a break in the conductor with a nice gravity low right there at that break. So that is the piece that we've been missing so far, is where are those gravity lows? So in this area, you might ask me next, why haven't you done this sooner, right? So that's the key here as well, is that pairing the seismic technique with the gravity allows us to actually strip away the cover sequence and all that glacial till and all that, the garbage on top that we're not interested in, because that actually affects the geophysical signal of the gravity. So it masks that effect, and we can't actually confidently identify those gravity lows that we're interested in. So by pairing those 3 different types of geophysics together, they all inform each other and actually improve the model and give us those true images and X-ray vision, so to speak, into the basement rock that we're looking for. So, de-risking it that way, but you are betting on us going out there and potentially hitting a discovery hole, because like I said, that's exactly how it happened at NextGen. We had this good target. It was raked like 4th or 5th, and we decided to go drill it, and boom, we hit, and then everything changed, right? So that's the big value proposition of Davidson River, is that we go hit one hole that looks like Arrow and we are completely re-rated, and off to the races we go.
Okay, now you kind of testing like Warrior, Bronco, Thunderbird equally, or have you kind of got one corridor that you're prioritizing?
Yeah, Great question. Great question. So, like I said, we picked these three areas based on our best drilling, the best structures, the best geochemistry to date. So I have some personal favorites, which are, I'm going to keep those cards to my chest right now, but we just got all the final data back from these. So my technical team is in the other room right now looking at everything in 3D, and we're planning drill holes and prioritizing those targets, right? So I'll show you in a map in a minute here what we're looking at, and actually it's included in our news release from last week.
Okay.
But we've got multiple different arrow style targets now on all three of these. So we've got, like I said, a lot of room to run here. So it's up to us to choose which, 4 or 5 of those maybe get drilled this fall, and then we've got a lot more to continue to go test, in 2026 as well. So we'll prioritize and choose those. So 1 or 2 might be focused on.
Okay, so okay, you're not going to give everything away. Keep your cards close to your chest, as you should. But given your experience with Arrow and Triple R, have you got a kind of depth or style of mineralization that you'll be targeting? Kind of gives a sense of, because it'll kind of maybe even have an impact on the amount of drilling that you're funded for.
Absolutely, that's the perfect question. So, like John said, we're looking for Arrow 2.0 here. So we've got that kind of target depth sweet spot of like where the Arrow high grade is, which sits between, maybe 250 to 450 meters depth, kind of in that sweet spot. So that cover sequence that I was talking about, all the glacial till and everything on top, ranges on the project from about 50 meters in depth to up to 200. So the unconformity, or the top of basement at Arrow, sits around 120, maybe 150. So very similar kind of depths here that we're looking at. So we are targeting exactly like we did at NextGen to find that Arrow sweet spot. So if I run you through these couple next slides here, I'll just use some examples from the Bronco grid here. So if we look at this survey area we did, which was actually 200 seismic nodes and 1,000 gravity stations. That's what this is based on each grid. So like I said, kind of gives us some X-ray vision to look through. So if we cut a vertical slice through there, this is kind of what we're looking at. We get this colorful seismic model, which allows us to see into the ground. So the warm colors on this section are high velocity, and cooler colors are low velocity. So what the velocity does, it travels through the rock, depending on the rock type, at different speeds, and that's what it measures. So we can actually outline interesting features in the subsurface like this that actually, tell us where we might want to go. So there might represent significant structure, or like I was talking about, that plumbing system, right? These are those areas where that plumbing system is broken open and you've got fluids kind of going everywhere, and that's kind of what you want to see. It's a trap, right? That's exactly what we want to see. So on this section here, we can see that we've drilled here. Looking at the scale, we've got almost 1 kilometer in between these 2 drill holes, and lo and behold, that's right where this big structure looks like it's coming up through. So we've targeted well previously without this, but you can be 25 meters away from something and miss it. When we were drilling off Arrow, we'd step away 20, 30 meters and hit nothing, or hit stuff that looks like what we've hit so far. So that's the big thing here. And you can see this schematic looking at this basement hosted deposit. This is kind of what we're looking for. And you can see, this big wedge feature here. So working with the scientists at Fleet Space too, this is a pretty striking feature. So really happy to see this in this high quality data that we got from them. And they've done this survey at the Hurricane deposit with IsoEnergy. They've done this survey at the Rough Rider deposit with UEC. And Rough Rider is also a basement hosted mostly deposit. And they didn't see anything this kind of crazy, so to speak, over there. So this gets me excited. And then on top of that, we can look at this and be like, okay, where are the plumbing systems broken up? Like I said, at Arrow, we had a break in the conductor and a gravity low. So we can actually use the velocity models to map out the structural architecture, and then we can add in the gravity piece on top of that. So it's kind of an integrative approach where we just layer up all these ingredients, so to speak, right? And where these things line up that makes it a really juicy arrow style target.
Yeah, like I mean, said earlier, we question that I could ask is why haven't you done this sooner? That wasn't in my head. What's in my head is slightly a bit more commercial, which is with regards to the exosphere multi-physics survey, and I'm trying to say that properly each time, is more about how quickly can you catch up, because like the market was tough for all juniors, right? Getting access to money was nigh on impossible, and if you could, it was super expensive. So no one, I think the game was let's just stay in the game. Here, this is catch up time. The market's quite good, and the uranium market's been sort of up and down. But if you raise this money, what can this do for you? You've explained in terms of getting after it in the way that you have at your previous companies, but what exactly does a good outcome look like for you, John, in terms of like discovery threshold for to kind of move you to the next financing or JV or some M&A interest or whatever your business generator model looks like?
Yeah, so let's break that down a little bit. First of all, you're right. It was extremely difficult to raise capital for these kind of surveys. And when Fleet Space came into the market about a year and a half, 2 years ago, their price tag was pretty high. So only some of the majors were using them, like the UBCs or Hurricane. The guys over there were using that for Hurricane. And when you look at that, we were like, geez, that's kind of expensive. We'd like to do that, but it's not quite in our budget. Lo and behold, fast forward about 6 months, Fleet Space reaches out to us and says, you know what? We think your project looks phenomenal. Sitting there in the southwest corner beside NextGen Zero, we want to come do our survey on your project. And we're going to pay for it. We want to fund it because we know that if we hit with your project, our business is going to open up massively. And we're seeing that. I mean, we've only got 3 grids done on this. If we hit here, we're going to expand, of course, across our own project. But they know that a lot of other majors are watching what's going on with our project and ready to jump in there. So Fleet Space was happy to come in, put money into our company to pay for this survey, and we're happy to be the guinea pigs to get this done. Now, should we go ahead and make a major discovery in this region, which is our plan? Look, it's like you say, Matt, it's going to be game on. Money is going to come pouring in. The M&A stuff has already started. People are already poking around, asking us questions about this. We want to keep this project to ourselves unless there was a real serious major that came in and put a pretty big check in front of us. But we know that this project has got huge potential. We think it's the most exciting project in the entire Athabasca Basin that hasn't had a discovery yet. And many people feel the same way. So look, we're going back. We're going to get this data lined up. We're going to go drill it and then watch out for what these results come out. And I will point out, outside of Fleet Space, we've also used a company called ALS Discoveries, which Sean's going to tell you about who them and what we've done with them in the last year and a half. So why don't you talk about that one, Sean?
Sure. Yeah, that's another really cool thing that we've been doing over the last couple of years because, we haven't, like I said, we haven't been back to drill this since 2022. You mentioned how the market was difficult there, Matt, for a while. But, when we came, like I said, when we've been drilling this thing, we've been getting better and better results as we continue to drill it and vector in. But the next time we come back here, I really wanted to make sure we had the best targets possible. So really, thinking hard about what kind of geoscience can we do here to unlock the best targets to go, expedite discovery, use capital in the best way that we can, and really get this done, right? So ALS Goldspot also came up, kind of approached us, and they've had some success with some AI and machine learning techniques with, hence the name Gold Companies, as well as some others as well. So we were actually the first uranium company to get in with them and start applying this in the Athabasca Basin as well. So what we did there was, we had geophysical data sets over top of Davidson River. We had some drill hole data, and then obviously NextGen and Triple R, both publicly available data sets. They're publicly traded companies. They've been drilling that thing, and we made that discovery back in 2013 and fission in 2012. So there's publicly available data sets that get filed for assessment that actually we can access. So we scraped all that data from the public kind of archives. And what we did was we trained an algorithm to go through their lines of data line by line, and we know what those deposits look like, what their footprint and geometry is. So we trained that algorithm to identify basically what that data looked like right over top of the deposit, right next to it, and then away from it, and then kind of machine learn to identify what those anomalies look like, and then match that to our data set on Davidson River. So we have the exact same apples to apples data types over Arrow, Triple R, and over Davidson. So we, train the algorithm to look through our, thousands and thousands of lines of data and be like, oh yeah, this matches within 95%, 90%, 80%, right? So they basically gave us a heat map across the entire project of, yeah, this looks exactly like Arrow, this doesn't, and so it really guides us and gives us another really, interesting layer to use coming back again to drill. So again, that was kind of incorporated as well into where we picked the multi-physics grids. So where we have, lining up of velocity lows, we've got cross-cutting faults, we've got the conductor breaks, we've got anomalous geochemistry, and we've got a deposit style match to Arrow. That's a good target.
The kind of sequencing of all this interests me. Okay, you've got to have internally some kind of success metric, whether that be sort of structure and alteration hits or elevated radioactivity or assays of a certain grade, whatever you think's going to, one, please the market, but two, technically kind of give you the information to do better targeting, right? So can you just talk to that and then sort of come back to what you just talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've developed an internal, essentially, prioritization and targeting workflow. So every drill hole we do, we've got a whole bunch of different metrics. Like you said, there's alteration, there's geochemistry, there's structure, all the key things that we want to see, pathfinder elements in the geochemistry part of things. So there's a lot of different ways to try and vector in and rank a drill hole. So every drill hole we do gets put in a spreadsheet, and it gets points for, the different things that it hits. And then we can use that to be like, okay, this southern part of the conductor looks better than the northern part, and here's why. So we have data to back that up. So every time we do the same thing when we're targeting, right? So is it, proximal to a drill hole that has a high ranking? Does it have a gravity low anomaly? Does it have a cross-cutting fault? Is there a jog or a break in the conductor? Is there a velocity low? Is there a deposit match on the ALS gold spot, smart match targeting? So all of those get put in. Like, we can plan. We've got probably 100 drill holes planned across the project right now. But the ones, we've got to pick our top, 5 to 10 to go drill first, right? And that often happens. I mean, like, target number one, you might go drill it and it's a duster, right? That happens. Like I said, back at NextGen, we were drilling on the peninsula right along strike from Triple R, and hitting stuff that looks like what we've kind of hit at Davidson so far. And then, like I said, Arrow was actually down the ranks, probably between 4 and 6 or something. So then we didn't get there right away. So it does take time, and you learn and adjust on the fly. So while we're in the field, we're going to go to the field with our top 5 targets, and then we drill the first one, see how it goes, drill the second one, and then we just, adjust on the fly, right? So it's a dynamic process, and it's integrative, like I said. So we're constantly looking at the results and adjusting to make the best decisions possible.
And what about you, John? There's certain words that kind of get the market going, that tickle people. What do you want to see? What do you need to see? Because, getting technical, sometimes you lose people, but, where's grade and where's discovery get people going?
It needs to be, as Sean will always say, look, to us, a high-grade discovery is anything over 1%. And we know, from previous drill programs we've done, it's the retail market sees it's binary. It's either you make a major discovery or it's a failure. They don't see the technical advancements you're making all the way. They want to see a drill program, and they want to see you hit and then put out a big news release saying major discovery's been made. Everything else to them, as you can tell by our market cap, is people just don't invest when early stages unless they really believe that you're onto something really good. And we believe we're onto that right now. So for us, look, we're going to go back to there. We're going to hit the drill program. The drills are going to hit, and our goal is to make that major discovery on this drill program. Now, the drill program we're launching on right now, it's going to be phase 1 of multiple phases. We want to do, 10,000, 20,000 meters of drilling on Davidson over the next probably 2 years. And we're going to go this fall and get us started on that and then advance from there. So there's so much great information. There's so many good targets. It's a matter of vectoring in it and getting those drills spinning and making that discovery.
Right. Okay. Well, I think we're kind of let's leave it there on Davidson River, because it sounds like you know what you want to do. You're doing this raise and allow you to kind of start that process off. So that's good to hear. The rest of the portfolio, very briefly, John, you mentioned earlier, obviously the other project, Sundog Corvo, and that whole kind of eastern Athabasca, that's under a different type of funding program. Can you give us the highlights of what's happening out there?
Yeah, sure. So as we've talked about in the past, in 2023, when the uranium market picked up, there was a huge influx of companies that wanted to become uranium exploration companies in the Athabasca Basin. We had a portfolio of 13 projects. So for us, we figured, how do we get these projects advanced? And for us, it was let's get other people to spend on them and they can earn in. So we created a model where people could earn in over a 3-year period to earn 75% of one of our projects. So we put it up for a JV. They pay us cash, they pay us shares, they pay us to operate, and they spend money on the ground. A typical deal like Corvo, which we announced this year earlier, over 3 years, it's going to be X amount of dollars of cash. It's probably about a $6 to $7 million investment over 3 years by that company, Aventus Energy. And for us, our team operates it, so we get paid to be the operators as well. Our First Nations partners are really happy because the ground's getting worked. Our vendors are happy; they get more work. Our geologists are learning more. They're in the field doing the work and advancing those projects. And if they hit, we keep 25% of that project plus a 2.5% NSR. So it keeps cash coming in. It keeps shares coming in that we can liquidate at a point in time. And we're learning a lot from these projects. So our goal is to have 4 or 5 of these projects under JV. We have 2 currently that are happening, and a third one about to be announced in the next month, and a 4th one shortly after that. So people like what our team is doing. All these projects, of course, have got First Nations agreements on them. All the permits are in place to explore. All the vendors are lined up, and our team of in-house, 5 uranium-specific geologists run these projects. So it's a fantastic opportunity for new companies that want to actually get good quality land projects in the basin and have a team that knows what they're doing to actually operate it. So it works well for everyone involved.
Okay, right. So where do people go? They can go to your website, look at the details for the raise, presumably.
Yeah, exactly.
Contact you directly.
We've got news releases that have just come out, sort of talking about the news release, the terms of the raise, and how to reach out to us. They can go to our website at standarduranium.ca, and of course, they can reach out to ir@standarduranium.ca for more details, or contact myself or Sean. Our emails are on the presentation as well.
Brilliant, gentlemen. Fantastic. Good to hear things moving along nicely. Stay in touch. Let us know how you get on. Thank you.
You got it. Take care, Matt. Good to see you again.